quarterback ready for university. I just want to thank Coach Pete Thomas for having me present today. I know there's a lot of successful Holy Trinity alumni and successful Ottawa coaches and Ontario coaches, and I'm really flattered that you asked me to present today. I chose this topic because I've noticed throughout my years of playing and coaching and working at clinics and at Holy Trinity that a lot of youth quarterbacks struggle with a couple of skills and physical techniques needed at higher levels. And some of them are really fixable, and I'm going to show you some drills and some coaching points to help with those things. I myself experienced some trouble going into university my first year and was working on a lot of these techniques while trying to learn a new playbook and new defenses and adjusting to the speed of the game. So hopefully we can prepare quarterbacks just a little bit better to compete in their first and second year. So just an overview of what I'm going to talk about tonight. Taking a snap out of the shotgun. We can talk about under center later in the questions portion. I'm going to talk about having a good base to throw the football. Quick game. For me is just quick passing plays, your quick slants, your quick outs, your quick ins, 6-yard hitches, stuff like that. Throwing on rhythm without a hitch is a big one for young quarterbacks, and I myself struggle with that as well. Play action mechanics, and then a summary and some questions. So I'll try to keep this under 20-25 minutes. So taking a snap from shotgun, I think it's an overlooked kind of skill, and I've seen it done wrong, throughout the youth levels and even at university. So I'm briefly going to go over this, and then we'll get into the good stuff. But we want to have our knees bent, our back straight, a neutral spine, and we want our feet shoulder width apart. Okay. We want to try to eliminate false steps. So I'm a left foot back guy. That's what I coach. I know some quarterbacks are right foot back, and if that works for them, by all means. The reason we have our left foot back is kind of like a cheat step to eliminate like a punch step or that false step. So if our feet were even and you're a right-handed quarterback, usually if you're under center in the shotgun, your left foot would move first before you pivot open. It also used to help for getting away from the center. I know not a lot of teams go under center right now, but even in the shotgun, it still translates. We want to eliminate false steps. We want our eyes up always. Pre-snap, scan of the defense. They're probably shifting or bumping linebackers out or motioning guys over or, spinning players down or spinning the backside halfback up or trying to disguise coverages. So our eyes have to be up the whole time. And do not lock in on the snap. You see a lot of quarterbacks, they got their head down, staring at the center's butt, seconds before or during their cadence. And they're not looking at the defense. And even when the ball is snapped, especially if you're getting a dead ball snap, which is a slower snap with less rotations, you should have your eyes up and peripherally be able to see, that big brown ball with 2 white stripes on it, right? And this is something that needs to be practiced, pre-practice and pre-game. Finding the laces during the drop back. You'd be surprised how many quarterbacks catch the snap, stare at it, spin the laces, find the laces, and then get in their drop back. We don't have the luxury of having a lot of time during passing plays. So we want to find the laces during our drop back just to save time, because even that 1 second could cost us. So just as a tip, I would include a snap in every quarterback drill, have somebody snap to the quarterback, whether it's a backup quarterback, an injured player, or a coach. And even day one of training camp, work on taking a snap and making sure that focusing that, the quarterback's not staring at the ball during his cadence and that he's not looking at the ball to find the laces and wasting time when he should be dropping back. So playing with the base. Probably one of the most important physical skills for a quarterback, I think, because I think it starts from the feet up. So a base is really just your feet just outside your shoulders. It's a ready to throw position. And a good example of this is the picture on the left. This is Drew Brees. You can see he's got good knee bend. He's got, a straight back. He's got the ball, 2 hands on the ball in a pre-pass position. The one thing I will say about this picture though is, he's off the ground a little bit. I think maybe he's just hitting the last step of his drop. So, but we do want to be flat-footed in the pocket. I've heard a lot of coaches say, if you're 6 feet tall, stand on your toes and you're 6'2". We don't want to do that just because it's an unstable position and we can get knocked off balance easily by defensive linemen or bumping into our own offensive linemen. It also takes longer. You can't drive, can't put a lot of power into a throw from your tippy toes, right? We have both feet on the ground and have a heavy back foot and drive off that back foot and transfer our weight to our front foot. We can't really do that from our toes. So, we want to eliminate unnecessary steps with the base. I think this is a natural throwing position. Your body, I think, naturally tries to get in this position. So if our feet are too wide at the end of our drop, we have to hitch up or shrink our kind of feet to get into a natural base ready to throw. If our feet are too narrow, we can't put enough force, and we don't have the balance to throw a ball anyways, so our feet automatically have to reset to this kind of base anyways. So to eliminate all those extra steps, we want to finish our drop in a solid base so we can just open up our front foot, have a short step, and deliver a good ball. And last point is we want to maintain a base while in the pocket at all times. So, pre-snap, like I just talked about, while we have the ball in our hands, almost right up until the ball leaves our fingertips, while we're maneuvering around the pocket, avoiding defenders, we want to be one step away or in a base at all times. So some drills for maintaining a good base. I'm going to talk about the 6-cone drill in the next slide, but I just thought I'd throw in some extras for you. We'll go over quickly. Bag slide is a pretty typical one. You get your 4 blue step over bags. You line them up in a row about a yard apart. You start at one end of the bag, you'll get a 5-step drop in. You'll slide with your back foot, and then you'll kind of weave through the bags, maintaining your base. So, short steps. We're not trying to get too wide. We're not trying to click our ankles together. It's just kind of like an 8 to 10-inch step, and we're a step and replace. So if my front foot moves, my back foot moves the same distance. So I'm always one step away from keeping my base. And you weave through the bags, and then the last one, you'll probably get a ball call, and you'll throw to receiver. Wave drill, if there's any defensive coaches out there doing linebackers or DBs, you've done a wave drill before with your guys. We do it with quarterbacks as well. So, we give them a drop, they set up, and a coach gives them a direction. So right to left, forward or back, and they're going to slide with their back foot to the right or the left, and just one step. And if you want them to keep going, you give them a second point, really to simulate avoiding a gap rusher. So to say. And then if you bring them forward, they're going to hitch up. If you push them back, they're just going to slide back, maintain the base the whole time. And the drill usually ends with a pass or with a quarterback escaping out of the pocket. So the 6-cone drill. So we have the quarterback, the cue in the middle, and these are 6 pylons represented in the black triangles, and then the red C is the coach. So overview of the drill is just the coach gives a direction and the quarterback weaves through the cones in a figure 8 and then back to the starting point. The drill can last anywhere from 10 to 25 seconds. It's also a good conditioning drill. If you get 3 or 4 reps at 25 seconds, the guys are pretty tired. It's a good quad burn. So the quarterback coach will say go. Quarterback will start with a foot fire. Then the coach will give him a direction. So let's say you're going to the left here. The quarterback will come in front of this first cone, weave through in between the 2 cones, then around the second on the outside, then back in between the cones, and then back to the starting position. And then the coach will give him another direction, and you keep going to about 10 or 25 seconds. Coaching points on this drill: keep your ankles apart, maintain that base at all times. Okay, we don't want our click in our heels. And I think, you know, a good kind of buzzword, a good coaching point that's quick is keep your ankles apart. And then as you get better and the kids understand what a base is and they get better at it, just maintain your base, maintain your base. We want to keep our front shoulder open, right? Just like we would when we're dropping back. So if you guys are the Mike linebacker, the free safety, and I'm a quarterback, I don't want my shoulder like this. I want it open so my head can swivel and my face mask doesn't get caught on my shoulder pads, and I can see the whole field and I can see the coach giving me directions in the drill. And stay off your toes. Like I mentioned earlier, we want to stay on the insteps of our feet and kind of slide through. We don't want to be bouncing through this drill. We just want to glide along the grass or the turf and through the drill. So the next skill and techniques I want to talk about is quick game. Okay, again, quick game is one step out of the gun or 3-step under center. And again, they're quick passing plays, you know, double slants, all hooks, things of that nature. So in the gun, after we receive the ball, we want to set our back foot perpendicular to our target. So if you can picture quarterback, your left foot is back. So I forgot to mention that your left foot, if you're going to use the cheat step, the toe of your left foot is aligned with the heel of your right foot, or around there, whatever's comfortable for your quarterback. As long as he doesn't false step. We don't want to false step in quick game. We want to get the ball out as fast as we can. You know, I would say for high school guys, we want the ball out in probably 1.6 seconds on quick game. In university, we're probably around, you know, 1.4. So set your back foot perpendicular to your target. In that same, you know, point, we want to point our front shoulder and the outside of our front hip. For me, because I'm right-handed, it would be my left shoulder and the outside of my left hip, and that kind of sets our GPS or aims for us. Sets our scopes, so to say. And then we want the ball to go from a pre-pass position, like you saw with Drew Brees a couple slides ago, to an up and out motion, right? So we don't want an elongated throwing motion. We don't want the ball to dip below our elbow, right? We want the ball to go up and out as we follow through. Okay, kind of like throwing a punch from behind your ear, right? We want it quick. We want it forceful. Okay, and then big thing is get your quarterbacks accustomed to throwing without the laces. You know, whether it's quick screens or quick game, especially in the shotgun, you may not always get that luxury, right? There's the odd kid who's really good at finding the laces in less than a second. But you know, tell your quarterbacks beforehand, you get accustomed to throwing without the laces. You want to squeeze like the top third of the football, right? We don't squeeze the middle of the football. Quarterbacks hold it, you know, near the top third. So as best you can and let it rip. So something to work on your quick game skills is I like to call the grip and rip drill. So we have 3 cones, numbered 1 to 3, and there should be a receiver on each cone or a backup quarterback, whatever you guys have really. And they're going to be spaced out about 10 yards between each cone, and then 10 to 12 yards from the coach and the quarterback. And the coach is going to be about a yard in front of the quarterback. The coach is going to have about 3 balls. If you have more balls, great. But, you know, at least 3 footballs. And he's just going to pop it to the quarterback. The quarterback's going to be, you know, in his pre-snap stance. And he's just going to drop his back foot, set it perpendicular to the first receiver, and he's going to let it rip. As soon as he follows through, the coach is going to pop him another one, in which case the quarterback has to reset to the second cone and throw to it. And then as soon as, you know, he finishes his follow through, the coach is going to pop him the ball again, and he's going to throw to the third cone. And if you have more footballs, you can go 1, 2, 3, and then back 3, 2, 1. But we want to create a sense of urgency. It is you know, this drill is going to be faster than a game, but that's only going to benefit your quarterbacks because the game's going to seem a little slower. Okay. Another big thing, I mean, this is probably the biggest I see with younger quarterbacks, is not being able to throw on rhythm all the time. So why do young quarterbacks hitch to throw? And when I mean hitch, I mean like a gather or a crow hop. If you think of baseball, you think of like shortstops kind of having a little crow hop and throwing to first. So why do they do that? Well, I think it's put power behind their throw. They've always probably thrown with a hitch, or they're not totally confident in their arm and they feel they have to muscle it down the field. So to gain some extra yards on the ball, they hitch. Another thing could be that they're finishing their drop with a poor base. They finish when their third step hits, their feet are too narrow together and they have to hitch up to split them apart to a comfortable position so they can be able to deliver a ball. So the downside of hitching, when you're not supposed to on a rhythm throw, what I mean by rhythm throw is let's say you have a 3 or 5 step drop. A rhythm throw would be as soon as your third foot hits for a 3-step drop, you should be transferring your weight and delivering the ball on time. So the downside is you're climbing the pocket into the rush, and I don't know many quarterbacks that want to be closer to defensive linemen. So that's definitely a negative. The receiver could outrun your quarterback's arm strength. So especially with outbreaking routes, the receivers, especially with the run up, they're gaining distance, but they're also gaining width. It's different if the receiver's coming over the middle, it's just distance, right? You can make, I can make a 25-yard throw, but if you're throwing a corner out to the field, it's 25 yards plus, the width of a Canadian field to the numbers, it could be a 45, 50-yard throw for them. So if you don't throw it on time, it's going to be pretty strenuous on the quarterback, and you're not going to deliver a ball on time. And so that leads me into my next downside is that you could be late on the delivery and you could miss holes in a zone. So if you're holding on the ball too long and you're supposed to hit the seam and you miss it, and then you deliver the ball late and the free safety gets over top, well, that's on the quarterback. That's not on the receivers, right? So, how do we, or I guess just a little more about throwing on rhythm. We want to throw with timing and anticipation. So a big thing I see, at quarterback clinics when we're doing like one-on-ones or something, the quarterbacks will wait for the receiver to get open by 4, 5, 6 yards instead of throwing it when they're supposed to, when their back foot hits or when they're just coming out of their break. So we want to throw with timing and anticipation, and we want to have our drops mesh up with our routes. So like I was mentioning earlier, routes like corners, deep out seams should be thrown on rhythm without a hitch because they are getting further away from the quarterback. And I know, a lot of teams, when they're working progression reads, if they're not going to throw their rhythm route on 3 or 5 steps, they want to hitch to their second read and hitch to their third read or hitch back to their check down. Now we're getting into 2, 3 hitches and we're climbing the pocket when we necessarily don't have to. I mean, you should only be climbing the pocket if there's a rush, right? So I talk about resetting the quarterback's feet instead of hitching up. So when we get to our next read, I'm just resetting my back foot. I'm not gaining ground in the pocket. They may gain an inch just by resetting their feet, but we're not gaining yards. We're not going from 7 and 8 to 5 and 4 yards in the pocket. So, and just a reminder that with under center and shotgun conversions, a 3-step under center pass play is a 1-step drop for the quarterback, and the same with a 5-step under center is equal to a 3-step in the shotgun. There are times when I see youth teams in the shotgun with let's say they have all hitches, all 6-yard hitches, and the quarterback takes a 3-step drop, and then all the receivers are waiting for the ball, and DBs are breaking on the ball. So we want to time up our drops with the pass play that we've called. So in that case, we want to throw on a 1-step. So as the receiver plants his foot in the ground and turns back to the ball's delivered on his outside shoulder, and we can run with it. We don't have DBs screaming down to take their heads off or intercept the ball, or worse, intercept the ball, right? So drills to avoid an unnecessary hitch. Do drops. I should add 1, 3, and 5, and lots of them. 25 to 30 a day, whether it's pre-practice or indie, post-practice. You got to get them in. It's got to be second nature for these guys to throw on rhythm on their first, third, or fifth step, right? We can't be holding on to the ball in football. So a simple drill for this that can be done in the warm-up, I call it crossover throw. So you're going to start in the crossover position, like the middle of the drop. So let's say a 3-step drop, you'd have one big step, then the crossover, and then your third step, you'd end up in your base ready to throw. So we start in the crossover, let's just say left foot over right if you're right-handed, right? And I'll say crossover and they'll get into that stance. And then I'll say throw, and they'll just swing their back foot into a good base and step and throw. So they set their back foot to their target with a good base, and we're thrown to our target without a hitch and just a short front foot stride. So really, we don't need a big long stride. All you need with your front foot is just 3 to 4 inches just to open up and point at your target. So a great drill, this is probably one of the best ones I think for working your base and throwing on rhythm or just throwing in an instant, is the come to balance drill. And I have a video for this. So you're going to start on start on the sideline and straddle the yard line. The coach or backup quarterback, whatever, is going to flip you a ball, and you're going to drop down the line, eyes up and your shoulders open. And this is a continuous drop. This isn't a set drop, a 1, a 3, or a 5. You're just going to go until the coach gives you a command, and whether that's a ball call or a clap. And the quarterback's going to set his back foot immediately and throw it back to the coach. Then the coach is going to walk up a little bit. He's going to flip it back to the quarterback, and they're going to continue across the field horizontally. So coaching points for this: keep your shoulders level. Do not reach for depth, especially in the shotgun. There's no need. We want to stay on balance and avoid hitching when you do get the command to throw. So I'll show you a quick video. Okay, hopefully. Okay. So here's the video. Just to see what the drill looks like here. This is Henry Burris actually on the left. This is from the Chicago Bears in 2001, and Jim Mellor, their starting quarterback at the time. So, yeah.
No, I don't think we see the drill.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, are you sharing? I think you maybe have to change what you're sharing to desktop, or you're in a.
How about now? Can you see it?
Yeah, we got it now. Thanks.
Okay. So like I was saying, this is Chicago Bears 2001. This is just an overview of the come to balance drill. I just want to show you what it looks like and what it looks like done properly. So again, I was saying this is Henry Burris on the left. This is Jim Mellor on the right. And let's see. So we got him dropping, and he's going to get a command, a clap from Burris, and he shuts down immediately and throws the ball. So he doesn't hitch right here. He's always maintaining a base. And we finish all the way to the sideline. Sorry, Pete.
No, that's great.
Okay. So sorry about the audio, guys, but hopefully you saw the drill as it progressed. So he gets a command, he stops it immediately, and there's no gather to throw. He just has a heavy back foot. he plants and he throws immediately, and then the drill continues. If you've noticed, his shoulders were flat, and he always maintained a base, so he didn't have to reset his feet. So the last thing I want to talk about is play action mechanics. It's important that handoffs and play actions look identical. You want to make sure that the tempo is the same for both a run and a pass play. So we're going to get into just some of the techniques in the next slide, but after the fake, if you're a drop back play action team, whether under center or in the pistol, meaning, the quarterback's just going to set up in the tackle box, you want to, let's say if we're faking to the right, you fake to the right, you're going to cross over and set up with a good base. If you're going to go to the left, okay, we would open up to the left, fake the ball, and then we would kind of pivot and flip our hips and set up. And that's the equivalent to the crossover on the right. If you're a bootleg team, or you guys like to run the bootleg or the naked, after the fake, we want to snap our head around, gain depth to about 9 or 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, LOS, along a semicircle path, and get our front shoulder pointed at the receiver and run at them. So something I learned at STFX from Coach Snyder is the 4 S's. So set, show, sell, snap. And setting the ball is just, we're going to seed the ball into our belly button after taking a snap. So this is seen in the top left picture with Aaron Rodgers there. He's got 2 hands on the ball and with the ball in his belly button. And this is because you got pulling guards and tackles. You might have a fullback coming by or receiver in some sort of fly motion, and ball security is at a premium, right? So we got 2 hands on the ball and keeping it tight to our body. Secondly, we want to show the ball to the defense. So that's the top right picture. So Rodgers has the ball extended and he has his offhand on his belt buckle. And we don't want our arm out there in space because it doesn't really freeze the backside linebacker or backside defensive end. If it's on his belt buckle, it causes them just to pause for a second, especially if you're running a naked, and maybe they're a half step late to the ball carrier if we do hand it off. The sell is, the offhand is tucked away on the belt buckle, but you could also just, a lot of times when you're handing the ball off, the quarterback peeks back to look just to make sure it's a good handoff. You should probably do that in your play action just to sell it more like a run. So you see that in the bottom. You got Aaron Rodgers, he's actually handing the ball off, but you definitely could do that while you're play actioning. And again, his offhand is tucked away on his belt buckle. And the last one is the snap. Snap your head around and bring your eyes back to the defense. The bottom right-hand corner is like a bootleg rollout where he's going to snap his head immediately and get depth and find his receivers. Drills for this, really just work through your play action and your run meshes, but set up cones for where you want the quarterback to set up. So if it's drop back, have a cone there at 7-8 yards. If it's a bootleg, set up cones around that semicircle path so they know the appropriate depth to get to. A lot of times during the game, they're going to cut it off shallow because they're nervous and they're running away from a defensive lineman, right? So the more times you get them practicing going at the right depth and coming around that apex and turning their shoulders around and running downhill at their target, I think is good for all quarterbacks, and it's good practice. So that concludes, we'll go over what we talked about, and then that's the presentation, guys. So start with a good stance, eyes up when taking the snap, maintain a good base throughout from pre-snap all the way to about the ball leaves your fingers. Practice throwing without the laces and your quick game fundamentals. Throw with timing and efficiency, and work with the QB to avoid hitching on rhythm throws. Drops every day, every practice, and run and play action plays should look the same. Hide your offhand on your belt buckle. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate that. If you have any further questions or quick answers, please send them.